Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the TheBrock&ByrdCast. We've been pretty busy with schoolwork, so we haven't been able to film many podcasts lately. But we're back here with another episode.
Yep.
And today we're going into a little more fun topic. We're going to talk about technology.
Yep, a very controversial way to talk about technology. It's a little scary to think about, but I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so kind of like something I've noticed with technology is it's something we use in like our everyday life. Like we have phones and
Stuff that we don't even realize. It's like, I don't know, like you wake up, you go on your phone, you don't realize how much technology you really use. Like back then, like people wouldn't think the amount of technology we use today. So it's crazy to think in another 50 years how much more technology is going to be used, because 50 years ago we weren't using close to as much technology as we're using now.
yeah, like even talking about waking up, you use an alarm clock to wake up, which is off your phone. That's relying on technology for your everyday life is something that we depend on and almost take for granted, and that could be very dangerous if you depend on technology, because there's big companies that can kind of take over and control your life in a way.
I think it's kind of crazy because, like, I'd say 50 years ago, if you were to tell our parents 50 years ago that cars will be able to drive for themselves, in 2020 you'll be 50 years old when cars can drive for themselves, when they're looking at that block television, they would say no way. So just imagine in another 50 years, like, we're gonna have flying cars.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we're on pace for flying cars. That's
wild.
crazy. Think about 50 years ago, they couldn't believe that there's gonna be self-driving cars, and now there's self-driving cars, and it's just second nature almost at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of something crazy to think about. It's people depend on it a lot, and one of the big positives to technology comes in robots, which could be a toss-up whether it's good or bad, because robots can either they are a lot more productive, but they can also take jobs from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And in a CNBC article, there was a quote by Melissa Repko, which was bright yellow robotic arms are becoming a bigger part of Walgreens' workforce. Inside of a large facility in the Dallas area, they fill out thousands of prescriptions for customers who take medications to manage treat high blood pressure, diabetes, or other conditions. And this was kind of the case where a robot was a lot more productive than humans were, so it would speed up the process in the prescription area, so there's less lines and people can get their medication quicker, which is a good thing, though it's taking jobs from people.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to think about, but at the same time, it's kind of opening up more jobs. But I don't know, we're just gonna have to see, because as of now, I don't really see too much of an impact of robots, but everyone's scared of robots just absolutely taking over our jobs, and then that's just being worthless. But we'll see. And then I also have technology like that. I got a article, and it says, as a result, only huge tech companies can create such an open AI like Google or Baidu that can afford to build this. Like Walgreens, they can afford to. So it's going to be kind of hard to make these things cheaper, to where almost like a personal owned drugstore, like a little company drugstore.
Like
it's gonna
mom and pop store.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard for them to compete with these Walgreens, because Walgreens can be cheaper, everything. Because a robot, you don't have to pay a robot per hour, you have to pay a human per hour. So it's gonna be hard, because Walgreens are gonna be able to be cheaper drugs, and it's gonna be more efficient, and it's gonna be cheaper for Walgreens. So it's gonna be harder for these little owned companies when all these big companies have the money to afford this technology.
Yeah, and that's a big toss-up too, because then it is a debate between whether you want to shop at a big chain place that you can get it for a little bit cheaper, or whether you should support the
community,
the small drugstore in your community to kind of support a family that you'd know.
Yeah.
And so I guess that would be one of the positives of technology. And the negatives is it kind of a lot of conspiracy and overthinking about it. You could think that you're being tracked all the time, because everyone has technology, and it's very easy to be able to track that back and kind of figure out where a person is. So I read a Washington Post article of this guy Jeffrey, that he did a report on like Apple AirTags in tiles,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're tracking them or not, because he was worried about his like children and his wife being tracked when they go on a walk. So that's one of the big negatives about technologies.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be tracked and stalked.
Yeah. That kind of leads into my kind of like second article quote. It's pretty much the article talks about how robots could lead to like safer driving, and you know how they're driving, like an AirTag. Like, yeah, there's dangers to it, but at the same time, like, you lose your phone, you have an AirTag on it, you know where it is.
Yeah. It makes everyday life a lot more productive.
Yeah, because you have less stress. Like, say you have something that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, it kind of makes you more, like, trackable, obviously, because everyone can just put AirTag, like, on your car. But, I mean, this new technology, I feel like it's saving lives. Like in my article, it says, eventually self-driving technology could improve road safety in Britain, reducing human error, which is contributing to a factor of 88%. So 88% of deaths around the world is because of human error, and that would be kind of crazy if you take away that 80% to where robots like I don't care if robots take over the world, if it's more safer. If it saves 88% of road deaths, then be my guest. I don't. That's fine with me.
And that's a good point too. Is say everyone had a self-driving car and they were all programmed properly, there would be way less accidents.
Yeah.
And going back to life-saving in like a different way, there's technology now that say an older person were to fall and they weren't able to get to a phone, say they had an Apple Watch or a phone on them, it would be able to detect that they fell and notify emergency services so that they can get help as soon as possible to like increase their chance of living. So that's a big positive about it.
Yeah.
So with technology, there's a lot of ups and downs, and it's kind of which side you want to look at it from. Whether you want it to be a good thing or a bad thing kind of will determine whether you believe it's a good or a bad thing that we have all this technology and stuff like that. So you got anything else?
Not really, just kind of hope that technology leads to more good things than bad. I mean, other than that, that's all we can really hope for. Yeah,
and I think it's opened a lot more jobs than it has taken at this point. I don't think robots have taken over enough to steal people's jobs, whereas people can work from home and have more than one job through technology. So I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, obviously with COVID, we found out that people can still be with their families and still have a very like 10-hour, they can still have a 10-hour job, work from home, and still have a family and kind of live with them. So that's kind of helped, because a lot of people don't want to go back to the office because of this technology. It makes it so much easier to do it from home. So that's a really positive.
Yeah. So there's ups and downs to it all, and I think it just depends on the way you look at it. So Yep. I think that'll do it for this episode of the Brock and ByrdCast. We thank you for joining us and checking it out, and we hope to be back here pretty soon.
Yep.
Peace.